You are watching a master at work.
This morning indicating that a severed head was at a warehouse in Humboldt Park. So police came to that building and they discovered a whole body, saying they are the remains of a 35 to 40-year-old man. The body was mashed up, according to scanner traffic. Workers at a company across the street had their eyes on the scene all day.
I saw a bunch of cop cars and I'm like, what's going on? And then I hear everybody starts talking and they're saying they found either a head or just a body.
That's what workers over there were saying.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. I think it's crazy, just to be right across from where I work at, to find something like that. That's nuts.
One employee said the remains arrived by train. Police scanner alerts indicate the body came from Mexico. The incident is under investigation.
Vehicles hit a female pedestrian on Chicago's west side early this evening, killing her. Police say a white SUV traveling west on Washington Street and a black sedan traveling east on Washington near Cicero Avenue. 25-year-old woman crossing Washington when she was hit by both vehicles, and both fled the scene. The woman pronounced dead at Stroger Hospital.
By the victims of a murder-suicide following a standoff at a home in South Broken Arrow on Thursday night. BAPD says Diane and Kenneth Carpenter were married, and 2 News Oklahoma's Amanda Slee talked to a neighbor this morning who saw the police presence firsthand.
A man who lives here in the Iron Horse Ranch community tells me that it's a peaceful neighborhood with people, kids, and pets walking around, jogging, biking, even riding their golf carts. But Thursday evening, it was a much different scene.
I hopped out of the shower and I looked out my back door, and next thing I know, there was like 10 or 12 police cars. And then we have our neighborhood HOA Facebook page, man, and next thing, this thing's blowing up. My mom's calling me.
RJ Sweat says the events that unfolded here caught neighbors off guard. He tells me another neighbor called in a welfare check for a home that would later be surrounded by nearly a dozen police vehicles. When officers responded, they found a woman dead and a man armed with a knife. Police say the man went into the home and refused to come out unarmed. That's when BAPD brought in their special operations team, who negotiated with the man for several hours, trying various methods to get him to come out. Around 8 o'clock, police entered the home and found the man dead from an apparent self-inflicted wound. For Sweat, hearing what happened was a shock.
That kind of thing doesn't happen around here. It truly doesn't. That's part of why I chose to move to South, the South and the area that I live,
This is still an active investigation with the Broken Arrow Police Department. Stay with KJRH online and on air for updates. In South Broken Arrow, Amanda Slee, 2 News.
Police say they have not revealed a cause of death for Rosemary Byrne because they don't know what the cause is. They said they are working with the medical examiner's office to determine how she died, and hopefully, they're hoping that will lead them to answers as to why. What we know tonight, Rosemary Byrne most recently lived in Newark, Delaware. She was 61 years old, and many of her friends say she was kind and generous.
Rose was the kind of person that would give you the shirt off her back. She heard I was sick. She jumped on a plane, and she was by my bedside within 24 hours. Wow. That's what kind of person she was.
Lauren Marie says she had been friends with Byrne since attending Upper Darby High School together in the late 70s. Tonight, she's at home, baffled by the details surrounding Byrne's passing.
She had a good family. It's mind-blowing. And she had so many friends. It's just, I can't imagine who did this and why they would do it.
Last Sunday on January 15th, police spent hours collecting evidence behind some homes on the 700 block of Greenwood Avenue near Church Lane. There behind those homes in an alley, they found a decomposing body under a mattress. This week, Upper Darby Police Department posted to its Facebook page the body was Byrne, whose family reported her missing to the Darby Borough Police Department on December 12th. The Facebook post went on to read, police are, quote, working diligently to learn the circumstances by which Miss Byrne passed, and they asked the public for any and all help they can provide.
If it's going to help get who did this to her, I would walk over hot coals.
Well, tonight we also spoke with Miss Byrne's older brother and her 2 nieces. They say right now the family is going to keep their comments on her investigation off air. They do thank people for keeping them in their prayers during this hard time. Police say they are still investigating this, again, asking people to reach out to them with any information they may have. We're live outside Upper Darby Police Department. Leah Uko, NBC 10 News.
Tonight, police charged a Washington County, Tennessee man with aggravated homicide by vehicle after a fatal crash killed 5 teenagers in Wyoming on Sunday. According to the Wyoming Highway Patrol, the driver, identified as Arthur Andrew Nelson, was driving on the wrong side of the road and crashed into another car. That caused a commercial truck to drive into the median in effort to avoid Nelson in that crash. The commercial truck went through the median and entered the eastbound traffic lane where it crashed into a Ford F-150. Both of those vehicles, police say, burst into flames. Court documents say Nelson was driving back to Tennessee. Wyoming Highway Patrol told us his last known address was in Limestone. All 5 people in the Ford F-150 were killed in that crash. Other motorists involved were taken to the hospital with what police are calling critical injuries. 2 of those killed, students at an Arkansas high school. The other 3 were former students. A member of their church says all of them were church camp counselors for kids during at a summer camp.
Have some more sad news to report tonight coming from the Thompson Fire Department in Geauga County. Firefighter Joshua Fanti passed away unexpectedly this morning. He was a former U.S. Marine and had served on the Thompson Fire Department for nearly 4 years. Funeral arrangements have not been made yet.
Rigs are trying to stay upright as the winds knock down trees and power lines.
Our live team coverage continues right now with KCAL News reporter Michelle Gili in a wind-whipped Fontana. Michelle.
You guys, I am not taking my hand off my hat because it'd blow back to Orange County, and I'm not kidding about that. Everything is moving in this wind. It almost feels like I'm on a boat in the middle of the ocean. We're just rocking and rolling all day today. We met one trucker whose 18-wheeler flipped over. Unfortunately, it's a total loss.
We were all in traffic going around the loop right here, and the truck just started to lift up. All over.
A ferocious gust of wind blew over this big rig with an empty trailer on the 60 connector to the 15 freeway in Ontario.
It wasn't like the Wizard of Oz. It was definitely terrifying, but
Antoine, the truck owner, would only give me his first name. As he stood in the middle of the overpass around 11 a.m., he explained how he had to break out the glass to get out of the cab. And this isn't the only truck that got blown over on its side. Another big rig on another transition road right over there from the 15 to the 60 freeways got toppled over in this wind. It was a bad day to be on Inland Empire freeways. Strong winds made for white-knuckle driving, no matter what make or model you were in. Sky Cow flew over a blanket of grimy dust that floated from the city of Chino all the way to Riverside.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's terrifying. It's a lot of wind and it's shaking right now. That's how crazy it is.
Another trucker in Devore flipped over. The cab stayed on the pavement while the trailer went into the dirt. As news spread, some played it safe and pulled over. All day, people across Riverside and San Bernardino counties dealt with howling wind. The massive flag over Bass Pro Shops in Rancho Cucamonga practically ripped in 2. At Target in Fontana, meantime, shopping carts were knocked over on their sides. These guys headed to Mammoth, pulled over to make sure their ski rack was still attached to the roof.
Well, you're a driver, right? I mean,
I was stressed.
You're feeling it, right?
I was feeling it. It was a tug.
Shifted around.
Yeah. But I don't know.
We'll get there.
Me and my friend over there are from Texas, so Tornado Alley. I felt winds like this, but I don't like driving in it.
And I keep waiting for these wind gusts to die down, but it's just not happening. You guys, so much dust in the air today. I've been sneezing all day. Normally, I resist taking allergy meds. I had to take one today. That's the latest here live in Fontana. I'm Michelle Gili. Hold on to your hat, Fontana. Back to you guys.
Breaking news right now, Mesa police have just released the identity of 2 teenage girls who were found dead in a canal over the weekend. Welcome to 12 News at 1. I'm Treya Mai. Officials say the bodies of 17-year-old Citlali Avalar and 15-year-old Cameron Myers were found on Saturday near 58th Street and Southern in Mesa. Both girls were reported as runaways, and both had been staying at a group home nearby. Team 12's Jade Cunningham is live from Mesa this afternoon. And Jade, what are police saying about those teens?
Well, right now they say that it's a very active investigation. And just to paint a little bit of a picture of where we are, the retention pond is behind me where those bodies were found. East Southern Avenue is to our left. It's a lot of cars traveling on that road. And there's a golf course to our right. So it's a very well populated area. But this water basin, this retention basin, is heavily surrounded by brush, trees, bushes, so it is kind of hidden in a way. And again, these 2 girls were reported missing about 2.5 weeks ago on January 7th after leaving a nearby group home. And again, just to reiterate, Mesa police confirming that the 2 girls are 17-year-old Citlali Avalar and 15-year-old Cameron Myers. They say officers were called out to this area Saturday night around 6 or so after a report came in of a body in that water retention basin. Police came, they looked the area, and they were able to confirm that body being found. They also looked some more. They found the other body a few yards away. Now, again, this happened Saturday night. Mesa police, though, just confirming with us this information. This investigation is ongoing. Detectives now trying to figure out when the death happened and how that death happened. They're asking anyone with information to come forward. Now, Mesa police, they are expected to speak with us within the hour, so you want to stay with 12 News on air and online as we continue to follow this story. We'll have more coming up in our later newscasts. Reporting live, Jake.
As friends remember 2 teenagers whose bodies were found in a water retention pond in Mesa.
One of them spoke with Team 12's Jade Cunningham, who joins us live now from Mesa with more on how they're feeling. Jade?
Well, good evening. Yeah, for many of them, they tell me this is an extremely hard time, and like many people, they just want to know why.
She's a really good person.
It's been 5 days since 15-year-old Cameron Myers' body was found.
It's hard to believe that she's gone.
Still, Keith Plummer is in shock.
It's terrifying.
Plummer met Cameron in 2021 at Desert Lily Academy, a program aimed at helping young women who are at risk. They've stayed in touch since.
When we got out, I saw that she followed me on Instagram, and I thought I'd check up on her, so I check up on her every couple of weeks.
She last heard from Cameron a few weeks ago, not knowing it'd be the last time.
I really feel for the girls who were Cameron's best friends. It's heartbreaking, the idea that everyone has to go through this.
Mesa police say Cameron and 17-year-old Citlali Avalar were reported missing from a group home January 7th. 2.5 weeks later, on the 21st, a man walking by a retention pond along East Southern Avenue saw a body. Police came and found another one nearby. They later confirmed it to be the 2 missing girls.
Cameron's death came as a total surprise to all of us, which makes it hurt the worst.
And as police try and figure out why,
she was only, I think, 15.
Plummer is focusing on the memories, saying Cameron will be missed, but never forgotten.
Everyone has their issues. She didn't deserve it whatsoever. It's absolutely messed up.
Well, Keith tells me that one thing she'll remember most about Cameron is the fact that she could make anyone smile and laugh, and those who knew these girls tell me they are just hoping that police will be able to find out why and how something like this happened. Reporting live, Jake.
Good evening. Tonight's big story. A quick trip to San Diego takes a deadly turn when a suspected drunk driver hits and kills a young woman from Arizona, taking off before police arrive.
Team 12's Adriana Loya spoke to exclusively with the victim's family, who amid their grief are pleading for the person responsible to come forward.
It was supposed to be a fun weekend for Vanessa Urbina.
She sounded so happy.
But instead, her MLK holiday getaway to California ending in tragedy.
It's totally unfair. She was one of the nicest people ever.
The 22-year-old killed Sunday morning in San Diego. A man police allege was driving under the influence, striking her and her 24-year-old boyfriend. San Diego police say the couple was standing on a sidewalk next to their SUV when 22-year-old Nestor Hernandez drove into them. Vanessa died on impact. Her boyfriend was pinned under the suspect's truck. He was taken to a hospital where he remains tonight.
She's older than me, but she's like smaller than me, so I call her my baby sister.
Eduardo Urbina lost for words. Vanessa was his only sibling.
Her soul spoke to you like it was a nice, kind soul.
Use this one and I use this one. He says Vanessa was an amazing aunt to his 3-year-old daughter.
Tap it.
This video, his favorite of the pair.
That's her little mini-me. She loved her. She treated her like if that was her child.
Vanessa was a full-time student at Mesa Community College, studying to be a nurse. She hoped to soon marry her boyfriend of 6 years.
There was never a dull moment around my sister. She always had you laughing in some kind of way. And just a bright person who always made your day better.
Eduardo says the couple had gotten a flat tire and were waiting for an Uber. That's why they were standing on the sidewalk that fateful night. The suspect was arraigned Wednesday on one count of gross vehicular manslaughter that also injured another victim. As the family fundraises to bring Vanessa to her Maricopa home, they hope this tragedy will serve as a reminder for others.
It's not worth it. It's not worth to go out, drink and drive, and damage everybody else's life just for one night of fun. It's not worth it.
In business and in life, Courtney Owens and Stoney Williams. Now he is accused of hiring a hitman to kill her. Here they are in a promotional video for their used car dealership.
Right here with Courtney and I, we gonna make it happen for you.
1 year later, the car dealership near Snellville was a crime scene. Courtney Owens shot to death inside the offices. Detectives talking with Stoney Williams that afternoon and evening. That was December 9th. It wasn't long before Gwinnett County Police concluded that Stoney Williams arranged to have Courtney Owens killed. Arrest warrants say the hired gun walked into the dealership, made Owens go to her knees, then shot her in her head with a rifle and walked away. And police say Williams arranged it all because they say he was breaking up with Owens and wanted the business all to himself. But where is Williams now? Gwinnett County Police released photos of him, hoping the public can help them find him. He disappeared earlier this month after police arrested the suspected hitman Wesley Vickers. Did Vickers cooperate? Did he say Williams hired him? Just before Vickers' arrest and Williams' disappearance, Williams created a tribute page on Facebook in honor of Owens. But at Owens' funeral, no one mentioned Williams. Friends and family wept and spoke of how Owens was the one everyone counted on to be there for them and surround them with love no matter what. Hey y'all, welcome to Royal Court Motors. The dealership still has several of Courtney Owens' promotional videos posted on its Facebook page, but her once partner in business and in life, Stoney Williams, who police say wanted her out, is on the run. Detectives asking anyone who can help them find him to call Gwinnett County Police. In Gwinnett County, John Schierick, 11 Alive News.
Reporter Taylor Epps joining me now, and I think a lot of us and a lot of you at home have PTSD from this. It's not like we want to be reminded of what happened, but that's part of our job as a community to have these discussions to try to figure out what can be done differently, and hopefully this doesn't happen again or for a very long time, but that's part of our responsibility as a community and journalists to figure out what can be done differently to save lives next time. And you have had the heartbreaking task of talking to many people who lost lives.
Well, Leah, this is something we're going to be talking about for generations, right? I know where I was during the blizzard of 22. You were stuck here at work. I was supposed to be at work, but I was stuck in my apartment. But so many of us were safe and warm. There were so many that were out there that were stranded, that weren't able to get help, so many that weren't able to survive, and I've been spending the past couple of weeks trying to get to know them.
She said she couldn't open the doors to the car. My mom said the doors were frozen shut.
A lot of people died from carbon monoxide, and she was one of the victims of that.
He tried to make it home, and he couldn't find his phone. And so the wind and the weather just overcame him.
After 2 days of complete whiteout conditions, more than 40 families sat at holiday dinner tables with an empty chair.
And it wasn't about a color, it wasn't about a gender, it was about we were in survival mode.
Tamika Johnson had just spoken to her Uncle Morris Singer the night before she got a call that he froze to death during the blizzard. It was on her to break the news to her grandmother, Singer's 90-year-old mother, about what happened.
And I knew that would be difficult because it's the last of her 5 children. Of 4, she lost her son. 2005, she lost her daughter. In 2006, she lost another daughter, which was my mom.
During the pandemic, she lost another daughter to COVID-19, and then Morris just a month ago.
Morris was flashy, flamboyant.
He loved pretty clothes.
All things bedazzled. So he wasn't going to come in loud, but his clothes and his fashion spoke for itself.
But he also had his struggles.
He had an addiction problem, but he was actually coming from a meeting the day he died.
In learning about the people we lost, our neighbors, the one thing that stands out the most is that so many of the people we lost were some of our most vulnerable. Take 73-year-old Stasia Saida, who moved to Buffalo from Poland 40 years ago. Her daughter Edie says her body was found in her car on the 33 on Christmas Day.
She didn't speak English that well, but she knew enough to get by. Did my mom understand that there was a storm coming? Most likely. Did she understand that it was going to be such a debacle? I don't think she did.
A few days after Christmas, Tiffany Huff's body was found in a car. She was 41 years old. Her daughter Danica tells me she struggled with an alcohol addiction, but she was a good mom.
She cried a lot of nights, I know she did, but you never really heard her complain. Her laugh is so powerful and loud. Whenever my mom laughed, it was my mom's laugh.
Derek Monroe's body was found in the snow, a man that everyone who lives on East Delavan knew as Mr. D.
If you needed a ride or you needed to do something, you call him up, hey D, we need you to take us someplace. All right, let me get my clothes on, and he'd be outside, he'd take you where you need to go.
But he lived alone, here in this house, his family living in other states across the country.
It really hit home to me when people say, time is precious, because it really is, because the time that me and him could have spent, I could have had that time where I don't have to feel this regret that I feel.
And now, 1 month later, we try to focus on healing. It's faith for 90-year-old Elizabeth Singer that she says is getting her through.
It hurts. But see, all you have to do is pray. That's the only thing that's going to help you. That's the only thing.
Prayer and holding on tight to the ones you love.
God got our back.
He do.
He got our back.
He do. And I got your back.
And I got your back.
That's a 90-year-old woman who outlived every single one of her children, but she told me yesterday, I don't want to cry, I want to smile. She says there's more to life than tragedy, there's hope and there's resilience, and that's what this city, that's what Buffalo Strong is all about, and we carry those that we lost with us every day. Our condolences to all of you who lost someone that day. I know that when I went into the newsroom after one of our news cut-ins during the storm, our producer was answering the phone and telling me that he was hearing from people who were stranded in vehicles and people who had loved ones stranded in vehicles who were being told they were going to have to wait it out. So clearly, a lot needs to be looked at here and changes need.
Robeson County giving us an update just within the last 90 minutes on a quadruple shooting that killed 3 people. That shooting happened Tuesday afternoon in the area of Samuel Drive, just outside of Red Springs. Deputies say when they arrived, they found 4 people who had been shot. Monique John has the latest.
Robeson County Sheriff Bernice Wilkins described yesterday's shooting as a real tragedy, as the suspect was not only a relative, but grew up alongside some of his victims. Robeson County Sheriff's Office saying the suspect, Corey Grant Leak, was a nephew to Aquila William Biggs, the 71-year-old woman who let him stay in her home. Biggs is the only survivor, now at a local hospital, and is expected to live. But her children and friends met a different fate. Donald Kendrick Williams, 51, Sierra Nicole Weary, 34, James Elijah Beauregard, 45, all dead after yesterday's shooting happened in Biggs' home. Officials say it's believed the shooting stemmed from a dispute over money. Sheriff Wilkins' frustration palpable at this morning's press conference, noting Wilkins was out on parole for another murder he committed in 1993.
I'm in my 42nd year of law enforcement, and it's just disheartening. Early in my career, I can remember a time you would not see murder suspects walking the streets. Had this guy been locked up like he should have been, none of this would have occurred. If that guy will shoot his own family members, just imagine what he would do to you and I.
Leak is facing several first-degree murder charges and is being held on no bail. In Robeson County, Monique John, ABC 11 Eyewitness.
Woman shot and killed inside an apartment building in New Jersey was a teacher for Jersey City Public Schools, and we have learned that police have also made an arrest in the case.
That shooting happened this morning on Bergen Avenue in Jersey City. Eyewitness News reporter Anthony Johnson spoke to someone who heard the gunfire, and he joins us live with more. Anthony.
Yeah, the shooting happened around 7:15 this morning on the 3rd floor of this building. The daughter of the victim is the one who called police and told them who the suspect was, and they were able to capture that man this afternoon in Pennsylvania.
We got a female victim, multiple gunshots.
It was a shocking call from a 15-year-old that led police to the 3rd floor hallway of the toy factory apartments. Neighbors of the victim say all they heard was gunfire.
Bang, 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 and that was it.
So you heard the shots this morning?
Yes, I did. I was going to walk out. It was around 7:15, 7:10, around there, because I just came from the store buying some stuff.
The victim was found shot multiple times and died. She has been identified as Tamara King, a 3rd grade school teacher with a master's degree working in Jersey City. The district issued a statement regarding the tragedy this afternoon stating, "Our hearts are broken at the sudden loss of Tamara King. She was an outstanding teacher and educated member of our district. She will be missed, and our prayers go to her family and friends as they cope with this tragedy."
She's suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, and we got a faint pulse right now.
Many of the family and friends gathered near the home of Tamara King's mother in Jersey City. They were too consumed with grief to speak. But cops were able to talk to the teen who heard a fight between her mother and father just before the gunfire.
She heard her mother and father argue this morning and had multiple gunshots.
The motive for the tragedy is unclear, but the suspect, identified as 39-year-old Lucas Cooper, is now in custody near Bethlehem, Pennsylvania.
He doesn't have a residence. He lives out of his vehicle.
And once again, Cooper was taken into custody this morning, or rather this afternoon, near Pennsylvania. He has now been charged with murder and criminal possession of a weapon. A friend of the family tells me the couple was getting divorced.
Family wants Atlanta police to charge the man who shot and killed their loved one Saturday night. Thanks so much for joining us today for Fox 5 News at 4. I'm Christine Spiro. Police say that shooting happened in the garage of an upscale Buckhead apartment building. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor joins us live from Zone 2 in Buckhead with the latest. And Angelique, family members say the victim knew his killer.
That's absolutely right, Christine. This family is just devastated. They say the man who pulled the trigger was a friend of Darren Wooten's, and they say no matter what the circumstances, a friend should have never shot a friend.
I'm numb right now.
Mom Merlina Perry says she was shocked to know someone shot and killed her 25-year-old son, Darren Wooten, at his Buckhead apartment Saturday around 6 o'clock. She says she was even more disturbed when police told her who they suspected fired the fatal shot.
But never did I imagine it was somebody like he really knew or had been in my house.
In fact, Ms. Perry says a young man was a good friend of Darren's. Atlanta police say the men got into an argument at Darren's Buckhead apartment. The family says shots rang out in the parking garage.
Like, this guy was just at my house, like, spent the night. Auntie.
Ms. Perry says no matter what the circumstances were, she feels betrayed.
You don't call somebody a friend. You're going to have disagreements. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have, situations. It's just never to the point that you pull out a gun.
Atlanta police tell Fox 5 they are still investigating and talking to the man who fired the shots. But this mother of 3 wants the so-called friend charged.
Someone has to pay. I mean, it wasn't like he was shot. It wasn't like it was multiple shots fired. It was 2 shots fired, and my son got those 2 shots.
Now, Ms. Perry concedes that her son likely did have a gun, but she points out he never fired. We are live in Buckhead. Angelique Proctor, Fox 5.
Family is demanding answers after their loved one was killed in the crossfire during a shootout last week. News Channel 8's Brittany Muller joins us. She is at Tampa Police Headquarters tonight, and just another awful story of a shooting death.
Stacey, it's tragic. Family says 26-year-old Latoya Gay died while protecting her 7-year-old daughter. Tonight we're learning Gay was 4 months pregnant when she was killed. A 26-year-old mother of two who was 4 months pregnant in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Her daughter was actually right next to her when she got shot. So she was trying to get her daughter into her friend's house, and she didn't make it.
Tiandra Parker says her sister, Latoya Gay, and her daughter were visiting friends at the Silver Oaks Apartments on Kenneth Court on Wednesday night. Caught in the crossfire, Gay ran to protect her 7-year-old daughter, but was hit by a bullet.
When people think about Toya, they automatically smile like, so this is gonna hurt everybody anyways. Everybody have their own separate memories of her because she was a people person, so to know her is to love her.
Parker wants justice for her sister's death. Tampa police say a 16-year-old has been arrested for their involvement in the shooting.
It's these kids with these guns. They really don't know what they're doing with them. I don't know. It just need to stop. The violence, it gotta stop. The gun violence, especially.
Detectives say there were multiple shootings at the apartment complex the night of Gay's death.
She really didn't deserve this. She was a great person.
The family is now planning a funeral for Gay on February 4th. If you know any information about this deadly shooting, give Tampa police a call immediately.
Man faces charges after allegedly threatening to blow up a home and deputies responding to a report of domestic violence. The man's name is Craig Bryant, and he is facing charges of domestic violence, stalking, terrorism, and resisting arrest. Escambia County deputies say they were called to that domestic situation yesterday, and the victim said Bryant called her and later showed up at her home while she was at work and was trying to get inside. Well, he went into some nearby woods, we're told, before deputies arrived, but they found him. They tried to get him to surrender, but they tell us Bryant refused, saying he would blow up the house and surrounding area. After a brief scuffle, Bryant was arrested. No explosives were found, and now Bryant is being held in the Escambia County Jail on a $106,000 bond.
Arresting a woman they say was involved in a case of road rage. You're looking at Ebony Tillman. Police say this all happened yesterday when officers responded to that call about criminal mischief. Police say the suspect rammed her vehicle into the victim's vehicle, which had 4 people inside. According to police, no one was hurt. We're told that Tillman here is in Metro.
Is grieving tonight after a tragic accident at Mortimer Jordan High School in Jefferson County left a staff member dead. Good evening. We've just learned his name is Mark Ridgway, and he's been with the Jefferson County Schools for 2 decades.
The victim was 58 years old. He was a teacher. He was also a bus driver. ABC 3340's Aaron Wise has more on what happened this morning.
Well, it all happened around 6:30 this morning at the high school. The Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says that the employee was doing routine checks of his bus before going out on his route. That's when the bus began to roll and hit him. Classes were canceled here today. I'm told that this is a close-knit school community and that it's going to be a long road ahead.
Especially those kids that were in his class that'll go to class tomorrow and he won't be there, or those kids on his bus route that he won't be there to pick them up. I feel for those kids. Our heart's heavy for the whole family.
The loss of teacher and bus driver Mark Ridgway after a tragic accident involving a bus at Mortimer Jordan High School has left the community grieving.
Today's a hard day for our community because tragedy came home.
Many in Enon Baptist Church's congregation are connected to Mortimer Jordan. Senior pastor Zach Reno says they were at the school this morning.
Because of our relationship connections there, when we got the news, some of our ministers showed up to, again, just to be a part, to help pray for some of those people, and honestly just hug necks and let people know that they're not alone. So I think everybody right now is just trying to rally around them.
No students were on the bus when it began to roll, ultimately hitting Ridgway as he was conducting standard checks of the bus.
After the incident, there was one student who did witness some of the scene.
Classes and school activities canceled for the day. Students and faculty scheduled to be back Thursday.
We have assembled our grief counseling team. They are here at the school right now preparing to render services.
Just for the community right now, run to the Lord, and then also, run to each other, pray for one another, serve one another.
Pastor Reno says they will be available to assist the school in any way they can. Anyone in need of help can come by the church. In Jefferson County, Aaron Wise, ABC 33.